We play in different eras. He's an unbelievable player. Yeah, he's one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world. I know it's a natural tendency to compare eras to eras.
It's the NBA, baby, and the drama never stops here, just when you thought the league couldn't get any more chaotic. Here comes another bombshell fresh off the heels of that seismic Donovan Mitchell, Joel Embiid rumored trade talks. We've got new footage that's got everyone talking Michael Jordan and Larry Bird in a heated confrontation that's already breaking the internet. But, wait, there's more. Did you know? Larry Bird has accused Jordan of something really controversial. I am pleading with Michael Jordan as a competitor and legend. Stop this. Yeah, this isn't just about a courtside argument. It's deeper, messier, and way more intriguing. So let's dive deeper into the juicy details you need to know. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. The footage from last night's NCAA tournament. Sweet 16 matchup between Indiana and Duke. An unexpected moment unfolded that no one saw coming. The 67-year-old basketball icon Larry Bird found himself in a heated exchange with his airness, and the intensity of the encounter left everyone stunned. So what really happened? The tournament game at Madison Square Garden was already a thrilling spectacle, but what happened courtside during the final minutes stole the spotlight. Larry Bird, who was attending to support his home state Indiana team, was seated just a few rows away from Michael Jordan, who was there watching former Duke star and current Bulls player Derrick Jones Jr. His younger brother, the six-time NBA champion, had a look on his face that was anything but friendly, and he didn't waste a second before confronting the Celtics legend. Now we all know Jordan is usually the kind of guy who thrives on competition, but this time he didn't hold back. This wasn't your typical back-and-forth argument. It was a one-sided call-out, and it was all about someone very close to Jordan. The moment sent a shock through the arena and beyond, leaving everyone desperate to know the details of what went down. Larry Bird, never one to shy away from confrontation, addressed the incident on ESPN's The Jump, pulling back the curtain on what transpired. He said, "I thought long and hard about this over the last few hours because I had no intention of talking about this at all. And the reason why is because it was a one-on-one confrontation. But then I wake up and everybody from ESPN and my agent were sending me that this thing had gone viral." When pressed about why Jordan was so visibly angry with him, Bird revealed a little bit that was Michael Jordan coming up to me unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his legacy. The tension was palpable, and while Bird chose to keep some of the more explosive details under wraps, he didn't hold back entirely. He admitted, "Can't repeat the words because they ain't suited for FCC airwaves." That's what he was doing, and although he didn't share the exact words exchanged, fans have speculated that Jordan's message was crystal clear, with many believing he told Bird, "Keep my legacy out of this." The confrontation left even the usually unflappable Larry Bird humbled. Reflecting on the moment, he said, "That wasn't just a basketball player confronting me. That was a competitor, that was a legend. I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by Michael Jordan in any way in that regard." However, despite his understanding of Jordan's frustration, Bird later made a comment on The Jump that suggested the whole confrontation might have been unnecessary. For the record, his agent and friend David Falk has my number. Ahmad Rashad, who works with him, has my number. Michael Jordan knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted that call. And just when we thought we'd never know what Jordan really said to Bird word for word, Bird revealed it all on his appearance on the Dan Patrick Show. Bird said, "Michael Jordan was fiery. He approached me during the game. He said, 'Stop with my legacy. That's my legacy. Stop with my legacy.'" Then Bird recalled how the NBA GOAT wanted to talk about it later, to which Bird responded by saying, "All right, Mike, fine. But why was Michael Jordan so worked up?" The answer lies in the deeply personal comments Larry Bird had been making about Jordan's place in NBA history. Bird, never one to mince words, had been vocal about his belief that Jordan's GOAT status was being challenged by the current generation of players, and that his legacy wasn't as untouchable as many thought. This criticism struck a nerve with Jordan, who has always been fiercely protective of his status as the greatest of all time. On ESPN's The Jump, Bird had initially tried to tread carefully, acknowledging Jordan's legendary status, while still expressing his evolving views. "I am pleading with Michael Jordan as a competitor and legend. Stop this, stop this." But then Bird went further, delivering a take that may have been the final straw for Jordan. We all know that Michael Jordan's legacy is being challenged right now. Bird then tried to explain what he meant to say. He said, LeBron's accomplishments, Steph's impact, Durant's scoring ability, these guys are all making legitimate claims in the GOAT conversation, and that's reality. Bird's comments didn't stop there. He doubled down, arguing that Jordan's defensive intensity and competitive fire might not translate as well in today's media-scrutinized league. Back in our day, there weren't cameras everywhere, no social media, no 24/7 analysis of every word and gesture. Michael could get away with things that would create Twitter storms today. By the way, Bird did clarify that he respected Jordan and regularly praised him as one of the greatest competitors of all time. However, he emphasized that he believed the GOAT conversation should remain open. Bird explained, "It would be unfair to dismiss what these modern players are doing. LeBron's longevity, Steph's revolution of the game. These are historic accomplishments that deserve to be part of the conversation." Bird then dropped some hard-hitting facts. The game has changed. The three-point shot dominates. Analytics have transformed team strategies. Player empowerment has shifted the power dynamic in a way we never imagined. And then Bird circled back to his original stance on Jordan's legacy. He addressed Michael Jordan directly to say what he thought was the most obvious thing out there. "You know what these changes mean. You know what it's going to do to your status as the undisputed GOAT when the next generation of fans grows up watching these current superstars instead of your highlights." Bird, however, clarified his stance and emphasized that he wasn't questioning Jordan's greatness as if it were diminished. In fact, he called Jordan's achievements incredibly impressive and unprecedented, and praised him for changing the game forever. Moreover, Bird wanted to ensure that his audience understood he wasn't trying to attack Jordan personally, or as a competitor to drive this point home. Bird even swore on everything he loved, reiterating that his intentions weren't rooted in disrespect. He acknowledged the emotional weight of the situation, recognizing that Jordan's actions were driven by his fierce competitiveness and the pride he takes in his legacy. Bird then expanded on his perspective, acknowledging the significance of Jordan's impact on the game that unfolded during the 1990s golden era of the NBA. He admitted that it was an unparalleled story, one that resonated with fans and showcased Jordan's unique greatness. However, he questioned whether maintaining the narrative of Jordan as the untouchable GOAT was fair to current players who are making history in their own right. Bird argued that while Jordan's era was special, the evolution of basketball continues, and new legends are creating their own compelling stories. Bird pointed out that the game's evolution means different eras produce different kinds of greatness, and that comparing across generations is inherently challenging. Bird highlighted the changing landscape of basketball, suggesting that the current approach of having a more open GOAT conversation would better serve the game's history and future. Finally, Bird concluded with a tone of genuine confusion and concern. He openly questioned how this situation was helping basketball, admitting that he simply didn't understand the reasoning behind Jordan's intense reaction. Bird expressed his belief that the current approach wasn't benefiting the game's growth or encouraging healthy debate about its history. He seemed genuinely puzzled by Jordan's decision to confront him in such a high-pressure public environment, especially given that they were both respected legends of the game. Bird's comments reflected his concern, not just for Jordan's basketball legacy, but also for the broader conversation about greatness in the sport, and how legends are remembered. This perspective, while perhaps well-intentioned, clearly didn't sit well with Michael Jordan. For Jordan, this wasn't just about basketball. It was about defending his status, his hard work, and his right to remain at the top of the NBA's Mount Olympus. His confrontation with Bird wasn't just a reaction to criticism. It was a legend standing up for his place in history in the face of changing narratives. Was it justified? Bird didn't openly say so, and even admitted that the confrontation didn't bother him one bit when asked about his relationship with Michael Jordan. Bird was very upfront, acknowledging that the two haven't had a close relationship for years. However, he made it clear that neither of them loses sleep over it. Despite the tension, Bird emphasized that he would have preferred if Jordan had chosen to address his grievances privately, rather than confronting him during a charity game. He suggested that a phone call or a private conversation would have been a more appropriate way to handle the situation. Although Bird showed a level of maturity and respect for the emotional weight of the situation. Industry insiders, believe his criticism may have struck a particularly sensitive nerve with Michael Jordan. It wouldn't be wrong to say that Bird's comments likely echoed things Jordan had already been hearing from other sources, while many may have shared similar opinions behind closed doors or hinted at them. Subtly, Bird was the one who put it all out in the open, bold, unfiltered, and on the biggest stage possible. That's exactly why he became the lightning rod for Jordan's frustration. But here's the real question. Is there truth to what Bird is saying? Is Michael Jordan's GOAT status really being challenged? I still believe there's no one who can match what Michael did in terms of the complete package. But these younger guys are making compelling cases in different ways. This is what Magic Johnson, another NBA legend, had to say after the heated exchange. A statement that, while attempting to express respect for Jordan, didn't exactly sound like a ringing endorsement of his untouchable status. Magic's statement, while attempting to be diplomatic, didn't exactly sound convincing. In fact, it left many with the feeling that something was changing. That perhaps Jordan's place at the very top wasn't as secure as it once was. This particular moment, where legends themselves were openly discussing the GOAT debate, became a focal point for basketball analysts. It was the kind of conversation that not only raised questions about Jordan's legacy but also brought the issue of historical perspective into the spotlight. Many began to wonder if nostalgia and mystique played too large a role in maintaining Jordan's GOAT status, or if his accomplishments truly did stand above all others regardless of era. By the way, this evolving conversation was also the catalyst for Larry Bird's now infamous criticism of Michael Jordan. Bird, never one to hold back, used this shifting landscape as evidence to support his argument that the GOAT conversation should remain open and evolving. He questioned whether Jordan's fiercely protective stance regarding his legacy was inadvertently putting pressure on current stars rather than allowing basketball history to unfold naturally. Bird's comments struck a nerve not just with fans and analysts, but with Jordan himself, leading to the heated confrontation that has since gone viral. But the main question remains, is Jordan's legacy truly untouchable in today's NBA? You see, Jordan has been at the center of debates regarding basketball greatness for decades. I will share some facts and you can be a judge of that. For instance, during his 15-season NBA career, Jordan's achievements were staggering. 6 NBA championships, 6 NBA finals, MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 14 All-Star appearances, 10 scoring titles, and a Defensive Player of the Year award. His resume is the gold standard against which all other greats are measured. Before facing challenges to his GOAT status, Jordan's dominance on the court was unparalleled. In 1,072 regular season games, he averaged 30.1 points, 6.2 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and 2.3 steals per game, shooting 49.7% from the field. His playoff performances were even more legendary, averaging 33.4 points per game in the postseason, while never losing in the NBA Finals. While statistics tell part of the story, Jordan's cultural impact transcended basketball, becoming a global icon whose influence extended far beyond the court. His Air Jordan brand revolutionized sports marketing. His competitive fire became the stuff of legend, and his impact on the game's global popularity cannot be overstated. For decades, Jordan's status as basketball's greatest player was largely unchallenged, or at least the challenges weren't taken seriously by the mainstream. But the landscape has shifted in recent years, as new superstars have crafted their own compelling legacies. Fast forward to today's NBA, and the skepticism has only grown. Critics and younger fans point to LeBron James's longevity and all-around brilliance, Steph Curry's revolutionary impact on how basketball is played, and the statistical dominance of players like Giannis Antetokounmpo. While it's not uncommon for legends to face challenges to their status as time passes, the spotlight on Jordan is anything but ordinary. Every debate, every comparison, and every moment of re-examination is magnified under the weight of his legendary status. When Michael Jordan was at his peak, he was already a generational talent and a household name, dominating the NBA landscape from the moment he entered the league at just 21 years old. Jordan was changing the game, elevating with gravity, defying dunks, hitting clutch shots, and displaying a competitive fire that became the stuff of legend. His stats were jaw-dropping. His athleticism, basketball IQ, and versatility were unmatched, earning him national recognition and global adoration. By the time he retired for the third and final time, Jordan had cemented himself as the undisputed GOAT in the eyes of most fans and analysts. So the debate over Jordan's place in NBA history isn't just about numbers. It's about fairness, perspective, and the role of nostalgia in evaluating greatness. Supporters argue that Jordan's accomplishments stand the test of time, pointing to his perfect finals record, defensive intensity, and cultural impact. Critics, however, see the GOAT conversation as fluid and evolving, questioning whether Jordan's era should be weighted differently than today's more athletic, globally talented league. So when Michael Jordan confronted Larry Bird for delivering some hard-to-swallow truths, fans were quick to capture the moment and share their reactions. The incident sent shockwaves through the basketball community, with fans expressing their unfiltered opinions on the heated exchange. Social media platforms lit up with debates, memes, and hot takes as everyone weighed in on the drama. For instance, one fan passionately defended Jordan, praising him for standing up for his legacy. MJ earned that GOAT status and has every right to protect it. One Twitter user pointed out how Jordan left his conversation with Bulls owner Jerry Reinsdorf just to confront Bird. On the other hand, one fan wasn't too pleased with Jordan for confronting Larry Bird, another basketball icon. This user argued that the GOAT conversation should be open to debate without legends getting defensive. Another user was confused as to why Jordan confronted a man for simply expressing his opinion. It makes no sense. Bird wasn't even disrespectful, just realistic. By the way, Larry Bird isn't the only one who has raised questions about Jordan's untouchable status in NBA history. Several current and former players have weighed in on the topic, and many didn't hold back. During a segment discussing basketball's greatest players, Shaquille O'Neal recently took direct aim at the GOAT debate, saying, "I see this sort of world where we act like the conversation is closed. It's not closed." His blunt critique didn't stop there. Shaq went on to assert, "You can always count on the fact that the game evolves and greatness comes in different forms. LeBron's case has to be taken seriously." And then there's Charles Barkley, who came to Larry Bird's defense following the recent confrontation with Michael Jordan. Barkley didn't hold back, making a statement that has raised more than a few eyebrows. He said, "It's sort of this unspoken rule that you can't question Michael's status as the GOAT without him taking it personally." His comment struck a chord, sparking a fresh wave of debate about the boundaries of discussion when it comes to evaluating all-time greatness. Speaking of evaluating all-time greatness, it's worth exploring both sides of the debate. On one hand, Jordan's status seems undeniable when considering his perfect finals record, cultural impact, and the way he revolutionized the game. On the other hand, the evolving nature of basketball and the remarkable achievements of current stars offer compelling counter-arguments, leaving fans and analysts questioning whether one player can truly reign supreme across all eras. So where do we draw the line? Is Jordan's GOAT status untouchable, or does the conversation need to remain open to new contenders? Let's dive deeper into this debate, because Michael Jordan isn't the only basketball legend facing challenges to his historical ranking. NBA legacy debates when Jordan confronted Bird. It sparked a massive debate about greatness in the NBA. Critics were quick to take sides, some defending Jordan's untouchable legacy, others suggesting that time and new achievements should naturally evolve the conversation. But basketball analyst and former coach Jeff Van Gundy had a clear message for viewers watching ESPN at home. Anyone crying about Jordan being challenged should understand that basketball history is living and breathing, not static. Van Gundy didn't mince words when he said, "The NBA is full of evolving standards and perspectives. I don't want to hear all of a sudden that we can't discuss this because someone's feelings might get hurt. Legacy discussions are fundamental to sports fandom." Van Gundy's point is hard to ignore when you take a closer look at basketball history. The league has seen countless examples of untouchable players being surpassed, or at least challenged, whether it was Wilt Chamberlain giving way to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or Bill Russell's winning pedigree being measured against more modern standards. And it's not just players. NBA coaching legacies, front office accomplishments, and franchise success stories are constantly being reevaluated. The truth is, legacy debates have been woven into the fabric of the NBA for decades. Whether it's comparing eras, measuring accomplishments, or determining all-time rankings. A prime case in point is Kobe Bryant, whose journey in the NBA exemplifies how greatness can both emulate and challenge what came before. Kobe's game was famously modeled after Jordan's from his fadeaway jumper to his competitive mindset. Yet Kobe crafted his own unique legacy that stands apart. Kobe Bryant's father, Joe "Jellybean" Bryant, was an NBA player, which gave Kobe early exposure to professional basketball. But Kobe's own relentless work ethic and unparalleled skill propelled him to greatness. Unlike some cases where family connections might overshadow ability, Kobe proved time and time again that he belonged in the conversation of the greatest players. His 5 championships, 8 finals appearances, and countless memorable moments cemented his place in history. Since entering the NBA in 1996, Kobe Bryant helped carry the torch of greatness, a 5-time NBA champion, 18-time All-Star, the 2008 MVP, and 2-time Finals MVP. Kobe's impact on the game is immeasurable. He's widely credited with inspiring an entire generation of players who grew up wanting to be like Kobe, just as the previous generation had wanted to be like Mike. Similarly, LeBron James offers another compelling example of how the GOAT conversation continues to evolve. Unlike Jordan or Kobe, LeBron entered the NBA straight from high school with unprecedented hype and expectations, branded the Chosen One. Before ever playing an NBA game, the weight of expectations could have crushed most players, but LeBron has not only lived up to the hype, he's exceeded it in many ways. Now in his 3rd decade in the NBA, LeBron James has crafted a legacy that forces even the most devoted Jordan fans to at least consider the debate. His unprecedented longevity, statistical dominance, and versatility have rewritten the record books, while his social justice advocacy and off-court business success have redefined what it means to be an athlete in the modern era from a pure basketball perspective. LeBron's all-around game offers a stark contrast to Jordan's scoring-focused dominance. Then there's Stephen Curry, whose NBA journey has literally changed how basketball is played. When Curry entered the league in 2009, the three-point shot was important, but not central to most teams' offensive strategies. Fast forward a decade, and Curry's revolutionary shooting has transformed basketball at every level. From youth leagues to the NBA, drafted 7th overall by the Golden State Warriors in 2009, Curry quickly established himself as an elite shooter. But few could have predicted how thoroughly he would change the game under Steve Kerr's guidance. Curry and the Warriors revolutionized basketball with their space and pace approach, prioritizing three-point shooting and ball movement over traditional post-play. Golden State's success, 4 championships in 8 years, validated this approach, forcing teams across the league to adapt or fall behind. Curry's influence extends beyond his team, as players at all positions now work tirelessly on their three-point shooting. A skill once considered optional for many positions has become essential, largely because of Curry's influence. Curry's accolades speak for themselves. 2 MVP awards, including the first unanimous selection in NBA history, 9 All-Star appearances, and 4 NBA championships. He holds numerous three-point shooting records and has redefined what constitutes a good shot in basketball. Beyond his shooting, Curry is known for his ball-handling creativity and team-first mentality. His gravity on the court, the way defenses must account for him even when he doesn't have the ball, has created a new way of evaluating player impact. Then there's the example of Giannis Antetokounmpo, whose NBA journey represents a new kind of dominance, one that combines physical gifts, skill development, and unprecedented versatility in ways we've never seen before. As the Greek freak, Giannis has crafted a unique legacy that doesn't neatly compare to Jordan Bryant or James. Giannis was drafted 15th overall in 2013 by the Milwaukee Bucks. As a raw prospect with tremendous physical tools but limited basketball experience, his development from skinny teenager to 2-time MVP and NBA champion represents one of the most remarkable growth stories in sports history. Since becoming the Bucks' franchise player, Giannis has redefined positional versatility with his ability to defend all 5 positions, handle the ball like a guard, and dominate inside like a center. His combination of size, speed, and skill has forced opponents to create entirely new defensive schemes just to contain him. In the 2021 NBA Finals, Giannis delivered one of the most dominant closing performances in NBA history, scoring 50 points, grabbing 14 rebounds, and blocking 5 shots to secure Milwaukee's first championship in 50 years. His closing performance ranks alongside Jordan's legendary games for sheer dominance and historical significance. Critics argue that comparing players across eras is ultimately a futile exercise as rule changes, technology, training methods, and evolving strategies make direct comparisons impossible. They point to the hand-checking rules that defenders used in Jordan's era, the lack of defensive 3-second violations, and the different offensive approaches as evidence that cross-era comparisons are inherently flawed. By the way, I have to clarify one thing here. None of this is to say that Jordan isn't the greatest player of all time. He very well might be. It simply means the conversation should remain open. The NBA, like many other sports, has been shaped by evolving standards, perspectives, and achievements for decades, and it's clear that this evolution isn't going to stop. In fact, the reality is that greatness debates are simply the state of affairs in sports. They're a system that has existed for as long as competitive games have been played, and there's no indication that they will change anytime soon. While Jordan's accomplishments stand as a benchmark for excellence, it's ultimately up to basketball fans to decide how they want to engage with these conversations. Whether that's through fierce defense of their favorite players, nuanced historical analysis, or appreciation for greatness in all its forms. The NBA will always be a league where talent, hard work, and legacy intersect, sometimes in ways that spark heated confrontations, but always in ways that keep fans talking. So while the GOAT debate may remain controversial, one thing is certain: it's here to stay. Thank you for watching this video if you liked it. Check out the suggested content on your screen by clicking one of the cards displayed.